Good morning. It is a great day to be alive.
Oh, it's such a good day to be alive.
Welcome to the Ashes to Rubies podcast, where we talk about life and recovery and a little bit more.
A little bit more.
A little bit more. We were discussing. We discuss it a lot, but how do we live in relationships in peace and serenity and love with each other? Yesterday, me and my sidekick, not you, we were repairing a scooter. We were under trained and highly unmotivated to do anything. But
No, you weren't unmotivated.
we ordered the parts, and together we fixed the scooter. We ran into some problem solving.
Everybody can be an expert now, though, with YouTube.
That's what I said to my apprentice. I said, like, we can figure anything out. Like, anybody could be like a niche tradesman of like doing something like, marble countertops or garages or something. Like, you can always run into a trouble, even mechanics.
It doesn't mean that you're going to necessarily do it well.
The dog needs her nails cut.
I know.
It's such a hassle, though.
Who's responsible for that?
And probably me. But you didn't even make comments or anything. And
I know to keep my mouth shut when that stuff's happening.
And I think that's a great point in relationships.
My role is
Aunt Tammy's on the line. Hi, Aunt Tammy. Good morning.
My role is as cheerleader.
Cheerleader.
I like to think of it as, how can I be a cheerleader in this situation?
I think we all can be cheerleaders and we can all be players. And when you're a cheerleader, we don't talk about how bad somebody's doing or give them advice. We just cheer.
I have no opinion about how you fix the electric scooter.
Yeah. I appreciate you congratulating us. We ran into some major troubles electrically, but we figured it out.
A marriage tip. I stayed in the room. I was present, because that's how you can be a cheerleader and emotionally supportive, is to be present in the room but not have any opinions.
And we finished at 9:00 at night. Was it 9:00? About 9:30. Yeah, beautiful.
Well, job well done.
Job well done. So that is our couple's advice for you today: is be a cheerleader. Don't be a controller. Don't be a fixer. Don't be an advice giver all the time. Just be a cheerleader.
When I yelled upstairs and said, "Hey, I'm just running to the grocery store to get some shrimp for dinner," and came home and there's a scooter strewn in the kitchen,
upside down on the dishwasher,
because we have a pull-out dishwasher, I just said, okay.
It seemed like the appropriate place.
I just cooked around it, and then dinner was ready, and I was like, hey, dinner's ready. And then I just waited, and I was going to eat my hot dinner. But you guys did come, and we had hot dinner together. And then you went back and finished the scooter, and it was a job well done. One of my favorite things is to watch you and Jordan like working on stuff like that together.
Thank you. And you get to go back on scooter riding.
Yes.
You've been down for a little while since our Montreal getaway. Hi, Isabel. Good morning. All right, here we are. Thanks for tuning in. June the 13th. Man, this time is flying.
We need to stop talking about that.
All right. An Al-Anon member, so family of the program of the family of the alcoholic or addict, of long-standing, writes a tragic estrangement between her beloved grown daughter and herself. She had tried to prevent the girl from making what seemed to her a wrong decision, just as years before she had tried to compel her husband to stop drinking. Oh, that's exactly what we're talking about. Although I feared I would never be reconciled, I hoped I could find an answer in our program. I concentrated on the first step: my powerlessness over others. What patience that took. What a constant temptation to take action rather than leave the problem to God. But I made it, and it worked. The seemingly unyielding barrier of silence, yes, hatred, melted away. We have learned again to love by accepting each other the way we are. Today's reminder: how often in a crisis we find it better to wait patiently for a problem to work itself through a natural, inevitable process, than constantly to interject our own, perhaps misguided, control into it. Quote of the day: the beginning of love is to let those we love be perfectly themselves, and not to twist them to fit our own image. Otherwise, we love only the reflection of ourselves we find in them.
Mm.
Ow! Oh, that's a great, yeah. Oh, wow. I've never even thought like that, where it's like, where I'm trying to control and manipulate or give advice. And like, I already see what the right answer is, but I'm actually seeing what I want to see in myself, but I don't see it in them. And so I'm like, you're doing it wrong because you're not doing it the way I've done it or the way I've experienced it. And so it's so easy to, like, exactly what we were saying right off the beginning. It's so easy to be a cheerleader, yet trying to be the coach at the same time. So I'm not saying that we tolerate enabling horrible behavior. We're not cheering those things on, but we're accepting people where they are, and acceptance is a guiding force in my recovery. Like, I have to accept God's will and power over your life, and know that he knows best,
And accept the fact that other people have their own journey, their own walk to walk, and I can't influence that. I mean, anyway, how do I let people walk their own walk and not constantly try to interfere? Like, here she's saying, this is saying that she tried to compel her husband to stop drinking years before. That didn't go so well, obviously. And then she's trying to prevent her daughter from making a wrong decision. And now her daughter's not speaking to her. And her daughter's, they have this unyielding barrier of silence and hatred. So how do we learn to like let people walk through their stuff, whether even me saying it's a mistake, right? That just shows, like, from an outside perspective, if I'm holding the opinion that other people are making mistakes with their life, that's going to cause friction and difficulty between me and other people.
And I'm not in acceptance when I have certain beliefs and expectations on how others should be, how they where they should be, what their recovery should look like,
what
and
time they should fix scooters, and where they should fix scooters, like in the kitchen or.
Yeah. So, like, how do I have acceptance for all of God's children around me? I need to be really connected to God and focused on that relationship. Helping others really puts me in a position of acceptance of those around me.
I think there's a Bible verse about that. Something about worry about the speck in your brother's eye, but there's a log in your own eye.
Yeah, that's cool. And it's like, I want to see, like, that we have to do a post on that. So the concept of that quote is like, I'm looking at my fellows expecting to see the mirror of me, and I don't see it. And I'm like, oh, it's not quite right. You don't quite look like me. And so this is what you should do to look like me, to act like me, to have the relationship I have God with me. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that is such a good quote, because it's so arrogant and unaccepting of the world around me that everybody needs to look a certain way like me.
I had a realization about that early when I started doing the work a couple of years ago. And it was, I'm not trying to, I had to come to this realization that I'm trying to control or fix other people. And I would have used much nicer words for that. Like, I would have just said, like, no, I have really good ideas. Like, I just have really good ideas. And I'm just trying to be helpful. But the reality is that I don't need to be helpful for other people in other situations. Like, they're grown-ups. They're
remember
adults.
Working in treatment, you come in every situation. There was this one guy, he was getting frustrated with everybody around him. And he's like, he was really upset. He was going to leave the program. He's like, I'm so sick of putting my hand down from the top bunk and trying to pull people up. Like, and I'm like, oh, you're trying to pull people up on the top bunk.
You think you're on the top bunk?
You're on the top bunk. whatever that means.
That's a great
And
picture.
it's like I'm always looking down on people and trying to bring them up to my level. And who needs to be on the top bunk? Like, no one even likes a top bunk. We always like
It's a
fight
lot
for the
of
bottom
ego.
bunk. Yeah. But don't we all try to, if I don't see myself in the other person in a way of correction, not in the way of humility,
Mhm.
then I'm not accepting of where they are and who they are. And sometimes you might be at a different place and it might be inconvenient for me. And sometimes I need to set away my plans and sit on the floor and cry with you.
Mhm.
And just go, this is crazy. I don't want to cry right now, but we're sitting together and we are where I'm accepting where we're at because we are not an I. And so we do things together. And then sometimes you have to come and fix scooters with me. All right. Much love. Thanks for tuning in. Hi, Margie. Hi, Aunt Tammy. Isabel. JC is on the line today. We will see you at another date. Keep the peace. Be of good behavior.
We'll be back tomorrow.
We'll be back tomorrow.